Spyro the Dragon is a charming 3D platformer from the 90s where you play as a feisty young fire breather. As a personal favorite of mine, I wanted to platinum the Reignited Trilogy released a few years back from Toys for Bob. This video will see me focusing on the first game. Sit back and enjoy my journey along with the custom soundtrack I crafted. Our story begins in the Dragon Realm, specifically in the Artisans world. One of the elder dragons that resides here is giving a televised interview. Everything is going well until the name Gnasty Gnorc is mentioned, who happened to be watching himself. A nearby dragon who goes by the name Lindar clearly lacks PR training. He decided to write a check his mouth can't cash. He calls him a simple creature.
Simple?
A non-threat?
No threat!
And a ugly bald-headed hoe.
Ugly?
Okay, I added that last part. Gnasty, who knows he's about that action, decides to stand on business and teach these dragons a lesson or two. He casts a spell that petrifies every living dragon except Spyro, who decides that today is the day he'll become the dragon that everyone needs. So begins the adventure.
Free 10 dragons in the artisan world, then find the balloonist. He'll transport you to the next world.
What about Gnasty Gnorc? I'm going after him.
Find dragons first. That's all I can tell you.
Our expedition begins in the central hub, known as the Artisans' homeworld. This is the motherland of Spyro, and honestly, it has never felt more homey. The magic and warmth here is absolutely tangible. Look at this grass and tell me you don't want to roll around in it. I will say that the graphical effects here are definitely stitching all of this together. I'm usually not a fan of motion blur whenever I play games. I try to use it like a spice whenever I can. Just a dash is fine to me, but for this game, you can only trigger it completely on or completely off. I wonder what it looks like when you turn it off. Yeah, there's no way in hell I'm doing a playthrough like this. With this being a remake of a 90s platformer, it naturally means we're going to be collecting plenty of things to reach our end goal. First things first, I'll seek out and rescue every single trapped dragon. Every time you free them, you get a mini cutscene with dialogue. I love how individualized they can be. Don't get me wrong, the designs of the dragons can be a mixed bag. It isn't so much about what they look like, but mostly what they say that distinguishes them. They want to talk to you about all sorts of things. Some of them, of course, thank you for your assistance, with some even going the extra mile to give you helpful tips on how to play the game. My favorite ones are these awkward encounters that Spyro cuts short. These elderly dragons probably have dementia and just need a helping hand to walk them through their golden years.
Thanks for releasing me. It seems like I've been trapped in here since I was your age.
Oh no!
Why, I remember, gotta go.
Spyro's like, well shit, that ain't for me to worry about. The next thing on our agenda is to get every gem. Yup, all 14,000 of them. Hey, I didn't choose to collectathon life, it chose me. Now most of these gems can easily be obtained, but some of them, boy oh boy. I'm glad we're not in the printed strategy guide era of games anymore. I'll have to get really creative in my search and sometimes go off the well-beaten path to find those well-hidden gems. Lastly, I'll need to find every single blue thief in possession of a dragon egg and put some flames to asses. Not only for the Dragon Realm family, but because I spit hot fire. Pretty much every trophy to be obtained will come from certain actions I will need to perform in each level. On top of that, we also have the addition of skill points this time around. Level specific challenges that actually weren't in the original title. It's usually something to the effect of fly and land here for no reason, or kill everybody without getting hit. Technically, they don't even count towards 100% completion. My brain understands this concept, so do my hands. For some reason, I have an itch to get them though, so I'll be tracking those. There's 14 to get in total, and not a moment too soon, I got my first skill point for this area by gliding to this specific ledge. The first trophy I'll be working toward will take place on the level Stone Hill. Man, when it comes to beginning levels, you can't go wrong with this one. If there ever were a video game level I'd like to buy a place and put some property in, Stone Hill would be near the very top. I can say with full confidence that nothing here is beating me in a fight. Gnorc minions are one thing, you just don't know how that's gonna go. I'd liken it to fighting an obese green giant, which I think is doable, but come on man, are you even gonna try to fight someone who could even be slightly related? Here, I won't have to worry about silly rams or dusty old shepherds giving me trouble. And while I'm here, I'll terrorize 10 sheep by setting them on fire for trophy number 1, sheep kebab.
When you free a dragon or step on one of their platforms, you're saving your progress. That could be useful if you run into trouble. Not that you ever run into trouble, Spyro.
And maybe you shouldn't fuck around and find out when it comes to taunting your enemies like you did Gnasty Gnorc, Lindar. I remember what you said. We all remember what you said. All this newfound aggression led me to destroy an innocent pink tulip for this skill point. Off to another world. My next stop on my trip had me working on Leaf on the Wind while on the map Town Square. The dragons that reside here are really into their hobbies. Not only do you have a sculptor, a baker, I bet he hates sneezing in the kitchen. There's even a potter and a cook. Wow, he has a bottle of ketchup. I didn't even know dragons like ketchup. What's up with that? I just noticed this guy has a charred weenie attached to his tail. That's the kind of details I love in games. Here's where things start evolving. With the exception of a few levels, Spyro can't directly fly up to certain platforms. You have to rely on your glide from edges at already higher elevations. This establishes how levels have these different variations of verticality, leading you to trek through them in specific ways. It's kind of rare to have an open-ended level where you can reach the end just as fast as you started. It makes the levels feel a bit intricate. They're basic but dense at the same time. What you're seeing here is a perfect example of this. I need to glide from this specific platform to access this back portion of the level. Getting to this platform to chase this blue thief got me my second trophy, Leaf on the Wind. Now Spyro is all about flexing someone bigger than him, like these bulls. They absolutely thrive in this location, but don't have the horns or the cojones to contend with someone like us. Now this is badass. Spyro must have that childlike strength that even he's not aware of. I'll force every single one here to become one with the ground for a skill point. Side note, I love how there's an animation of a bull chasing a Gnorc matador through the center of town. It gives me silent movie vibes. I could watch this on a loop for hours, it's just so entertaining to me. My next objective took me to the level Dark Hollow. Man, I gotta say, when I first played this version a few years ago, I wasn't sure if I really liked it. This level right here, this level sold me. I know this game uses a modern game engine, specifically the Unreal Engine 4. I think they utilize it to its full potential. Lighting like this is second to none for me. Amazing.
Big enemies like this Gnorc with the club cannot...
Look at how he handles that skull. I want to put a Fushigi in the hands of Darius. He'd go crazy. You have to really appreciate how this game eases you into a new variation of a foe. These guys wear metal armor. This piece of equipment nullifies any of your fire attacks. I mean, even if you were a guessing man, you'd still have a 50% chance of landing the right attack against someone like this. I like those odds. Now that flame attack needs to be used for these two fire pits, which both need to be lit up for a trophy. To break up the monotony of my adventure, I decided to knock out the first level centered around the flying trials. With these levels, you need to run through an open course and beat it within the given time. Before I began the first flight trial, I actually got my 4th trophy for discovering the entrance behind a hidden waterfall. These are the real evil compared to everything else in this game. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. You see, it's all about trial and error. Destroying certain targets will add seconds to your timer. The challenge is finding the optimal route so you can get everything without running out of time. The enemy here is a combination of the clock, the water, and to an extent, you as the player. Nailing a route you've been hung up on can feel really rewarding though. Waterborne again. Yeah, well screw you game. I could do loop-de-loops. Adding a bit of flair to how you fly never hurts anyone. Just make sure you can actually land them. Hitting my very first one got me the Barnstormer trophy. Would you look at that, I managed to clutch it as I lost a life. Next up is my encounter with Toasty as I try to unlock my least favorite kind of toast, burnt toast. Oh hey look, he has dogs. Come here my little doggy wuggy. What is Toasty feeding these dogs? They're off their rocker. First, they jump up high like they ate a can of Chef Boyardee ravioli, and then they land with the precision of a homing missile. This is pretty much 70 to 80% of the level too. I think it's their disguise. They look like innocent shaggy dogs that at the most might poop in your yard or something. Nah, these canines are really built differently. They're not the ones I'm here for. Yup, it's time to throw down with Toasty. Alright, this ends here. Something looks a bit off. boy, if you don't get your trench coat, we Scooby-Dooed this thing for what it really is, a harmless sheep. Anytime I play this boss fight, I'm reminded of that episode of Ed, Ned and Nettie where they're trying to hop on trends, but they're just a step behind as to what's popular amongst the kids in the neighborhood. Everyone is just walking around on stilts because who wouldn't walk around on stilts if they had a pair? I know I would. Back to the game, I would go on a separate run to beat Toasty without him landing a single hit on me to get the Burnt Toast trophy. With everything taken care of here, we could head out to our next hub location, which is the Peacekeeper's World. Talking to Marco to initiate this trip will also get my 7th trophy. Boom. You know, now that I really think about it, why doesn't Spyro just take the initiative and fly to these other worlds himself? He always flies to the levels anyways. I just can't shake the thought of Spyro using public transportation when convenient. I just imagine him using the subway if he ever visited a place like New York City. I don't know why that's a fascinating thought to me, but it is. I guess I can't really fault him for wanting to ride a hot air balloon. I don't think I have it in me to ride one myself. You could thank the Amanda Show for that. Yeah, for some reason, I took this whole plotline seriously as a kid. The Peacekeeper's World is more focused on a desert climate, with many of the places you visit mostly in canyons, with an exception here or there. I love my red rocks in real life, but even more in my video games, so this place is kind of a treat for me. We also have more Gnasty's cronies that live here. Correction, used to live here. Burning some of them gets the others to react. Once they realized I'm not the one to be messed with, they began their retreat, running into their makeshift tents. Scaring 6 of them into their homes got me this level skill point. Now the soldiers here are definitely locked and loaded, both with artillery that shoots, and whatever it is they're packing in that trunk of theirs. I'll bite the bullet and shoot them there for a reward. I have to keep a list of the most ridiculous things I've done in games to get trophies. This is nowhere near the top, I can tell you that much. Now my next 2 trophies are closely tied to each other and how I achieved them. The first one I tackled was Bird Brain in the level Dry Canyon. Our enemies have most certainly stepped up their game here with the increased usage of metal armor worn and... what is he holding?
Is that the freaking musket?
Yeah, it's a freaking musket.
Besides these heathens that have resorted to ballistics, we have new variations of the same enemy here. Not only that, but also ones that could fly like these vultures. You know how straight up hateful you have to be to take another living creature and just use it as a weapon? Even the dragons that you're saving waste no time to tell you how those birds taste.
Incredible glide, Spyro. I thought I'd be stuck here forever with those ugly vultures standing on my head. Those birds might look tough, but they're pretty tasty. Flame broiled with a pinch of salt.
To get bird brained, I had to charge every single one I came across. This was actually done on a replay of the level. I really insisted on turning them into a well done dinner the first time I came across them. It must really suck to be a vulture right now. It doesn't stop there. In order to get birds of a feather, we have to make our way to Clifftown and do something similar. You see, I'm very focused right now. It doesn't matter how many metal blanky bandits and cracked out endives you throw at me. I'm here to do one thing and one thing only. Burn every vulture here as if my life depended on it. All jokes aside, this level brings back the strategy guide tactic with the gems. You really have to channel your younger self and think, man, I got time and lives to waste. Let's just fuck around for a considerable amount of time before we realize we could just glide here to get the last gems we need. After obtaining some well tucked away gems and freeing the rest of the dragons here, I decided it was time to cool off, and from the looks of it, do a triathlon in Ice Cavern? This was another level that left me in awe of its design. I admit, I could be easygoing when it comes to the execution of things in games, but come on man, this place is easily the embodiment of what it's like to chew 5 gum or something. Look, they even have the Aurora Borealis.
Spyro, some big Gnorcs up ahead are wearing armor, and in the ice cave, armor can make their feet very slippery.
Oh yuck! Naturally, with this being a level taking place in an ice cave, our opponents have to dress the part, for the most part at least. I don't know what these big fellas have going on, they might not have the will to live. This includes Gnorcs decked out in ski equipment. I kept them warm with a little fire to get triathlon. Before my next boss showdown, I knocked out the flight level associated with this world and got its respective trophy. It's more of the same here, but I will say, hands down, this is the hardest flight course out of all of them. Everything is just spread far enough, you think you have spare time, but no. You're down to the wire the moment you begin here. I hit the game winner on my successful run. On a different run, I went out of my way to torch these innocent fairies that were there to guide me, but had to burn for the Hot Wings 1 trophy. It's boss fight time. Dr. Shemp is next on my hit list, along with the trophy What's in the Box. This place is complete madness. He has an army of loonies waiting for you here. Of all the things that attacked me in this game, something about these guys wielding butcher knives and letting out a war cry, it just triggers my fight or flight. That eclipse is just staring into my soul, and I don't like it. Apocalypto! Well, that's not the only space object out in full force, because our buddy Dr. Shemp is in straight commando mode. So you just gonna sit there and act like you're not making this encounter weird for all of us? The boss fight itself is incredibly easy, with all your attacks needing to focus on the man's cakes. After the third time, he kicks the bucket. I earned a key to unlock a container filled with some of his valuables. What's in here? As long as it's not coming from these guys, I'm sure it won't be bad. Oh, thank goodness it's just a trophy. My work with the Peacekeepers world is pretty much done. Gosnold will hook us up with the ride to our next stop, which is going to be the Magic Crafters world and all of its wonderful wizardry. Crackheads. They're mostly crackheads. I'll explain why when we come back after these messages.
Classic.
Let's kick things off in the Magic Crafters hub world. This is a neat looking place with its beautiful interiors and mountainous backdrops. The best thing out of all of this are the wizards and druids, who I think graduated from a magic academy like Hogwarts, but couldn't quite secure a job and ended up becoming raging hobos instead. Seriously, they just stare at you from a distance and then become aggressive with you once you're in proximity. This is what a resident from the Magic Crafters world would look like in real life. A new feature found here introduces hills to power up your charge move, making it quicker and more powerful. Charging will be abundant on the upcoming levels. I actually had to use this move against these 4 armored druids consecutively to get coming through. My next destination will have me focusing on pops to the tops, all while exploring Alpine Ridge. The wizards here must have been snorting crushed up gems. They found a way to domesticate these bare, woolly, mammoth creature things. They even ride on top of them. Look, the wizards are even having a turf war. Man, I love this place. The chase with the blue thief here gave me a run for my money. This is one of those mini games where I can never really tell if the game is becoming generous to me over time, or if I'm actually gaining on him through skill. Your platforming skills are totally put to the test here, but in a unique way. There's these 3 pillars with fireworks on top of them. Of course, with me playing as a dragon, I have to detonate them for pops to the tops. Next up is the high caves, to deal with my fear of spiders and get arachnophobe. Where do I even start here? Chaotic infighting, green druids hitting the dope fiend lean on these pillars, the different kinds of assists you receive from these generous fairies, and the spiders. Oh boy, the spiders. This level is by far one of the more interesting ones. It seems like they introduced a handful of mechanics all at once here. You see, in this specific area, you have fall death forgiveness thanks to those aforementioned fairies. There's also the supercharge ramps you become familiar with, and even the ability to obtain an enhanced version of your fire breath, both of which need to be combined to take on the spiders located in the caves. Killing all the metalback monstrosities will put all the arachnophobes watching at ease, and also get me a trophy with a similar name. Now the whole idea of where I go and what I have to do really started kicking in. I had to run back and forth several times to get every gem and egg that's hidden here. This is further proved by this level's skill point. You have to find this hidden painting of one of your dragon homies and burn it. I'm headed out to Wizard Peak to hunt for some eggs. So starting out here, oh, you ain't shit for that, my boy. So starting out here, you're immediately thrown into the action with a lot of opposition to contend with. The more I play these levels, the more I notice how much more intricate the platforming is becoming. The increase in super jump ramps and the sheer amount of distance you have to travel is one of those gradual changes. I started using them for simple actions, you know, knocking these guys out like the bowling pins they are. Mastering them becomes essential to reaching some of the more outward platforms, especially this one, which I needed to access not only to get the visible items, but also get this little guy hiding out. Of course, grabbing all these blue kleptos will pay off in the long run for 100% completion, but this specific one is also key to me getting the trophy Egg Hunt. Now before I face the next boss, I quickly knocked out the flying course tied to this hub world. That would be Crystal Flight. This is by far the easiest of the bunch. I think it just has to do with it being more straightforward than the other ones. What really helps it is that everything seems centralized in one way or another. On a repeat run of this level, I flamed the same fairies holding those neon arrow signs for Hot Wings 2. Next up is going to be me taking on this world boss, Blowhard, along with me obtaining Gatherer. It might just be me, but the color seems washed out in this area. It could really use some saturation. Just looking at it reminds me of those games we got in the late 2000s and early 2010s. You know, the, what was it, the piss filter game? The piss filter games. Visually speaking, that was a depressing time, especially with the overuse of things like bloom. It just made the game look like it was smeared in Vaseline and shit. We quickly run into Blowhard and get down to business. By business, I mean I hit him and he runs away to a different portion of the map. Yeah, he's that kind of boss. We also have to make our way past some crackhead wizards in the process. They're not really contributing to anything here, just making these columns go up and down, which is cool. It got me a skill point for standing on one for 10 seconds while they do their thing. I'd like to think that if Blowhard needed to make some budget cuts to his roster, he would definitely start with these guys.
Thanks for releasing me, Spyro.
Damn, those glasses are thick. Motherfucker could see people waving on a map. I striked Blowhard 2 more times to finish him off for good. While I was navigating this level, I managed to collect all the available gems to get the Gatherer trophy. All that's left for me here is to talk to Tuco about giving me a ride to the Beastmaker's world. And away we go. You know, as I sit here and think about it, I'm positive he's supplying everyone that lives here with meth. That would really explain all the hostility coming from the hobos. Man, I love this game's soundtrack. I know that with my content, I handle music in a certain way, but I'd be remiss if I didn't at least shout out this game's music. It has this childlike innocence to it. It feels like Stuart Copeland managed to take every element you can find in 90s pop rock and make something that seems so magically memorable. I would use words like warm, groovy, and mystical to describe it. To me, it really comes down to the drumming and also the chords on some of these compositions, especially the electric instruments that are present. It's all consistent, from the first world you visit to the very last one. The place we arrive at is hot, smelly, and deadly. Whatever you do, you better not get caught skydiving. You don't want to know what happens to skydivers around here. One thing about a game like this is that it not only shows me the places I would love to live in, but also places I know I would pass on. Swamp living just ain't for me. The real question is, what lives here that won't kill you? Definitely not these electric guys wielding batons. Not the off-brand Pumbaa lookalikes. Nah. It's the mushrooms. It's always the mushrooms. I flamed 5 of them to get the Mushroom Hunter trophy, and also added another notch to my belt of inanimate things I've bullied so far in video games. My first stop here is going to be at Terrace Village, where I have some fireworks waiting to be lit for the Rocketeer trophy. There's something low-key dystopian about how these guys are fitted with their equipment. It almost feels cyberpunk. I think it's the hair and the glasses. Yeah, that's what sells it for me. This guy's just blasting chickens in what looks like a glorified toaster. I forget that this game was originally made in the 90s. And at that time, we were all thinking the future waiting for us was going to be something like Futurama. Well, patience is truly a virtue on this map, as we have these whack jobs electrifying the floor. Look, he just zapped his homie. I might have let my patience get the better of me here or there. I spin the block or a village and run through the same level without sustaining any electrical damage for the applicable skill point.
Good job, Spyro.
One day you'll be able to tell all the dragons about your amazing adventures.
I like this specific dragon I rescued here. He looks nothing like the crystallized statue you unlock. He's just lounging about, looking like he could tell me all about KFC's 11 herbs and spices. Up on these rooftops are 3 fireworks that need to be set off within a 15-second time window, and it's pretty generous if you ask me. Fireworks go boom and trophy goes pring. Misty Bog. This place has a certain allure to it, as it's a, oh your ass is grass. I don't know why, but I want to cook you. Hey, I'll take it. I saved the chicken in captivity for cage free, but I also killed it, so there's that. And with that out the way, we could actually play the level. This place does that one thing I mentioned earlier that I really like. It shows an infinite loop of a monster chasing a Gnorc, similar to the one that we saw much earlier when playing in Town Square. You couldn't ask for better continuity than that, even if you tried. The enemies here are pretty dynamic themselves, in the sense that at certain times, you could just be navigating and taking in the sights and then boom! An all-out riot between everyone. Oh hey look, some gems. Well, don't mind if I do.
Gotcha, bitch!
I'll tell you what to do with those creatures. Smash them, Spyro! Stamp them out and squish them and squash them!
How about charge them and flame them? We are dragons after all.
I like to think we all have that crazy uncle like Bubba the Dragon. Look at the thumbs up he gives me, it's so unhinged. Alright, treetops is our next stop. Now the whole gimmick with this level is you're actually suspended up in the air and have to use the supercharged ramps to get around. There's no safety net either. If you fall off, you lose a life. They start off being simple jumps that have clear indicators of where they lead to. However, they soon become a bit more tricky as you go on. I need to land on every location possible to collect everything. This resulted in a series of jumping puzzles that had me chaining jumps together and taking some leaps of faith to get to some of these places. Every time I come back to this game, I always hit a roadblock with this level. It's always this specific chain of jumps. You realize you need to get over there, but as you can see, there's no direct route, so you gotta improvise. Even Spyro lets the trap dragon here know it was pretty tough to get to the spot.
Yeah, well, you could have found an easier spot to get stuck.
He looks like he just drank a glass of milk. There's just so much going on with this design. What? In the end, I managed to find every collectible, but more importantly, I got the trophy launch date for seeking out every supercharged ramp and jumping off of them. Oh hey, don't mind me here. I just wanted to make sure I saw what this jump would lead to. I didn't want to die for the 50th time. Before my showdown with Metalhead, I went and got this world's flying level out the way. The trophy requirement here calls for something a little different. The moment-to-moment gameplay here is the same it's always been. Fly through obstacles and destroy everything else. The only difference is I have to finish my run without touching the ground at any point. I'm gonna be honest, I was getting worked like crazy here. The ironic thing is that I didn't think this level was hard, but for some reason I just couldn't properly focus at times. I think I know what it is. The other places I've been flying at up until this point were pretty open, but compared to this, everything is closed in. It's like the water has dragon magnets in it or something. But like with every obstacle I face in this game so far, I eventually overcame this. I believe it's time for me to fly off and go face to face with Metalhead. I really do like the atmosphere of this place, with the pylons sticking out the structure and stuff. I also love the dead trees that surround you. This is an aesthetic I've always associated with the PS1, and it's awesome to see it brought to the modern age. It reminds me of games like Crash Bandicoot and Medieval. Speaking of Crash Bandicoot, the operation here is something out of that game's playbook. Just replace your average Cortex minion with brain dead monkeys. Now the real enemy here isn't what you think it would be. The gems are evolving stage by stage and how they choose to hide. By now, this game is just making me run around like a rat in a maze. I'm literally turning over every rock and checking every nook and cranny, multiple times. I eventually found all 500 gems, which also resulted in a trophy, giving me a peace of mind. The boss fight itself is dirt simple. You think Metalhead would be a bit careful with placing something important like, I don't know, life supply equipment linked to your survival on the battlefield. This robot also uses monkeys as ammunition. They seem to like it though. I'm really reminded of that character Claw from the first Jak and Daxter game whenever I do this fight. Metalhead looks like him, just without the skin or textures, just a robot version of him. And here I am just poking Naughty Dog with a stick, waiting for anything from that dormant franchise. As of recording this, it's been 16 years since we got something new, besides the re-releases. I actually downed Metalhead on my first attempt without getting hit for this level's skill point. Another balloonist means another trip to a new region. Next stop is going to be the Dreamweaver's world, where I'll begin the last leg of this video. I'm closing in on Gnasty. Four worlds down, 2 to go. Now the Dreamweaver's world is pure imagination. Everything is wacky and more lighthearted in general. All the people here are so loosey-goosey. It reminds me of the wacky
waving inflatable arm flailing tube man, wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man, wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
It really feels like I'm losing touch with reality in a place like this. You know what it reminds me of? You ever watch the TV show Chalk Zone? It's an amazing show. I loved it as a kid. This is like the Gnorc equivalent to Rudy Tabooty in a central control room. He's just randomly drawing, erasing, and dropping shit in as I go along. I'm even more reminded of it with this area's skill point. You have to phase through this random wall and step on this platform. I mean, look at this. You really gotta use your imagination for this kind of stuff. The enemies you face here come in all sorts of shapes and sizes with the help of enhancements. The ones I needed to focus on was this tightly packed group of slap-happy armored monks. I didn't make that name up, that's what they're actually called. I charged 3 of them for Fool's Errand. The map I'm tackling now is Dark Passage. I'm gonna have to teach these bad doggies a lesson or two. Here, we have a bunch of corridors cramped with all sorts of enemies and different variations of them. All thanks to this fool holding a lamp. This can make them range from the "aw, he's so cute, I wanna pet him," to now these large dogs ain't no joke. They will rush you as quickly as possible and try to have you for breakfast. Naturally, I would wait for them to be little helpless doggies before I pulverized them. But to get bad doggies, I had to embrace these demons and take them out in their superior form. The dragon designs we're getting here are a mixed bag for sure. Some look quite alright. But this? What even is this? Help me catch Gnasty. Your neck is at a right angle. I don't think you could even spit flames without burning your esophagus. You only have 1 tooth. It's hilarious seeing these badass dragons get shown up by Spyro, who's probably the stuff of legends at this point. It's ironic because he's pint-sized compared to everyone else he's rescued so far.
Thank you for releasing me.
You got it, Purple Astaroth from Soul Calibur 2. You're not fooling anyone, by the way. The imaginative chaos continues with Haunted Towers. I'm gonna need to take down Gnorcs and wizards alike to get the scrap metal trophy. This place is an all-out battlefield. This is reaching levels the likes that this land has never seen before. To make things worse, we have these possessed bodies of armor that are just impenetrable. I can't lie, Spyro, they might have our number. What are we gonna do? I mean, oh, a magic fairy is giving out kisses? Oh, now you guys are cooked. What's that? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you over the sound of me wiping you from existence. Yeah, I'd feel some kind of way if I were able to contain my target and prevent him from proceeding, only to see him run into a corner, get some sugar from a fairy, and watch him blast me away. There's nothing I could do. Wiping out all these metal scrubs will get me a complimentary trophy for doing so. Scrap metal. The gold trimmings and overall design of the castle screams elegance for sure. The level's pretty linear compared to everything else I've had to deal with up until now. There's floors to the palace, but everything kind of wraps around. Now, getting the skill point associated with this level was actually informative. It gave me the reassurance knowing that you can cover a little bit of distance if you charge and then glide. This is always one of those things I wasn't sure if it actually worked, but I did it without knowing at times because it just felt right. I was able to burn this wizard hat and add another skill point to the pile. pretty sure the motto for Lofty Castle is if it flies, it has to work a shift here because no enemy is touching the ground whatsoever. I use this level as a benchmark to see where my psyche was at this point in the game. You see, there's a variety of enemies for you to battle with here. For some reason, I went out of my way to go around these Gnorcs floating with these balloons rather than taking them on. I mean, I took these out in the castle, but it was more out of self-defense. I didn't have a choice. I literally cleared the map and still left these guys floating outside before I finally came to my senses, and I realized they had missing gems. Oh, the puffer birds ain't the exception. It was on site for them. I charged 4 of them hoes in a row to get all puffed up. The stumps ain't safe either. Well, at least this one. I destroyed it to get this level skill point. This level continues the trend of odd dragons as well. I don't really need to say anything here. What you see says all you need to know. This one's pretty chill and all, but it looks like he's been taking some male enhancement pills from the local gas station. So there's that. And this one is... okay, I can't lie. It looks like he knows some good chiropractic techniques. He's even wearing slippers. That's awesome. Yeah, I can see why Gnasty was able to steamroll a majority of you guys in this realm. You don't really look like you could put up much of a fight. And just like that, we've reached the final flight level of this game. Icy Flight, where I'm gonna try to fly like an eagle. The layout here makes this place lean more on the easy side. At any given location, you have sight on a target that you're supposed to destroy. I mean, just look at this map. It's almost designed to have you follow the path of the rails like it's an exhibition or something. The real challenge would come from me attempting to learn the level associated trophy by doing an entire run without touching the ground at any point. It's similar to Wildflight. This is a lot easier said than done. A Spyro only knows one speed, and it ain't the slow one. Let's get this next boss fight and whatever trophy he has for me out the way. For a wacky and surreal world, this level really resembles its opposite. It borderline feels like I took a quick trip to hell. The monsters you fight here also exemplify that too. They're akin to something like sleep paralysis demons. I got a chance to go hand to hand with them and also learn that they're tied to the platforms themselves. These two approaches would allow me to come face to face with my 31st trophy. I needed to flame all of them in one successful glide. It was a lot easier said than done, but after a few tries, I got my rhythm down and got the Jocktacular trophy for my efforts. And then there was Jock. He looks like any one of the fodder fools that you'll come across when playing in this world, but managed to find the mask and become this sight for sore eyes. His fight isn't too bad. He just throws a bunch of presents at you until you close the distance and give him the old flameroo. I would end up coming back on a separate run to drop him without taking any damage to get the level associated skill point. Let's blow this place and wrap up this story once and for all. After this last stop, we'll have the platinum trophy. There isn't much to say about this hub world not now, Remy, you could pull on my hair later, I promise. There isn't much to this hub world other than the levels unlocking in a specific order before the showdown with Gnasty. That leads me to start with Gnorc Cove. Barrels, barrels, barrels. That's the name of the game here. Metal barrels, exploding barrels, rolling barrels. I don't know what this guy is thinking while standing on that barrel. Barrels. All that aside, I do like the industrial aspect of this level. I can actually make sense of what I'm looking at for once.
Wow, I never thought I'd be rescued, especially by such a little dragon. What I mean is, I always believed in you, Spyro.
You gotta believe.
Head ass. So while I'm running through here, I'll be encountering several rats who just so happen to be dinner for me and my companion Sparks. I had to run through this place without hurting a single one. This required a lot more restraint than I'm willing to admit. You win this round, you vermin. You know what really grinds my gears? Not much really. I like to think I'm a laid back person. This is Twilight Harbor. Gnasty is keeping his foot on my neck here. He enlisted the help of all his elite commando soldiers. They look pretty badass, but in all reality, they're just as foldable as anyone else I came across. The dragons here are a treat. first we have Cosmos. He gives us the best stank you and dip performance by far. That roll was really crisp, I gotta admit it. Then we have Cletus, who has good intentions but just drops the ball. Yeah, you don't need to mention that to me now. I made those commandos extinct, dude. It's not his fault. He became frozen here. There's no way he could have known that I was gonna spawn on the other end. I'll give him that. To earn what really grinds my gears, I have to destroy 6 gears. They're carefully positioned at certain spots throughout the map. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. The next stop is to take on Gnasty himself. Now he ain't no slouch like everyone else you faced in this game. This isn't a run up, flame him quick and then back off type of boss fight. It takes a little more effort to deal with him. We have to unlock different areas of the arena by chasing around green thieves wielding these keys. Each time we get closer and closer to unlocking the path to face Gnasty head on. It's time to give up, Gnasty. You got nowhere to go. As a matter of fact, Turns out old boy's just ducking the smoke. He leads us on a mini chase. It's a shame because this guy's footwork is immaculate. He could easily be a professional athlete with how he moves. But after a couple of laps and leaps on platforms, he ended up meeting his demise. I did also come back real quick to give him a second ass beating to get the final skill point needed in my adventure. More importantly, this meant that I finally stopped Gnasty, wrapping up the story in this game. We get a quick cutscene of Spyro flexing and being a complete bully to sheep. I'm not telling Spyro anything. This guy is pretty much the Debo of the Dragon Realm.
I'd say the sky's the limit.
And that's the game, but I'm not quite finished yet. I still need to do a couple things to reach 100%, as well as unlock that coveted platinum trophy. Prior to this encounter, I made sure to free every single dragon, grab every piece of loot I came across, and retrieve all the stolen eggs back from the blue thieves. This popped I'm in the money, while also granting me access to Gnasty's secret loot location, so the real hoarding begins. While there's nothing really remarkable about the level itself, well, maybe one thing. It does feel like a victory lap for all of our efforts thus far. This all concluded with me discovering Gnasty's self-love nest. This is also where I found the trophy hoarder, along with an additional ending that implies our work is never over, even when it might seem like it is.
And I felt that Gnasty, in spite of his misguided nature, was a worthy opponent. Uh-oh, here we go again.
It's ironic because I technically already have 100% completion for this game, but after my stint here, I shot it up to 120%. All that's left is for me to run Gnasty's pockets one more time to officially get the platinum trophy. I just have to make him do a little bit of exercise. Chasing him around his crib for 5 laps should do. And that will do it. For the quick chase, I got dragging and on and on and on and on. I think I said that right. Doesn't matter. I finally got the platinum, Gnasty's demise. If you like what you heard so far, I'll be releasing the songs in this video commercially in the near future. Be on the lookout for that. The adventure doesn't have to end here as well. There's plenty of good times to be had with these guys. We should see what they're up to. Don't worry, I'll wait for you.